I would describe them as a heart-driven organization that cares.
I would consider the community as SJF to be cis, to be trans, to be queer, to be houselessness, to be rural, to be indigenous, First Nation.
People who are extremely committed and dedicated and courageous.
Social Justice Fund is a member-led foundation that funds grassroots community organizing in the Northwest, in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. We fund community organizing, which means that we fund organizations that are led by the people most directly impacted by the issues that they work on. They are people who are looking at the root causes, not just the symptoms of injustices in our society, and they're working to build a movement for long-term systemic social change.
So I think that we're providing resources that are critical and needed to our movements for social change, as well as doing it in a way that is engaging our community in a process that looks a lot like community organizing in and of itself. It's about building relationships, it's about bringing people together and connecting more people to the movement for social justice.
The fact that SJF trusts that the people most impacted are experts of their conditions and know what the solutions they need. SJF gives general operating funds and also trusts that these organizations and these communities know what's best for them and don't interfere and really do follow our lead and let us do what we need to do to, change things in our communities.
I think that there's a pretty meaningful emphasis or value placed on relationships within the Social Justice Fund community, which is not the case for a lot of other activist groups that I've been part of. And that's really important. I think that's what helps people stay in the movement for the longer term.
We engage our community, we bring people together across race and class to raise money and to go through a grant-making process in which they really get to think about race and class in a critical way, learn about community organizing, actually get to know the organizations in an up-close and personal way, and participate in grant-making through a collective process. Something that brings people together across a lot of different experiences and allows people to make those decisions in a way that's, I think, a lot more accountable and transparent and also really democratic.
Because all of our funding comes through giving projects, because it comes through this cross-class approach, that means that we're not accountable to just a small number of funders or a small number of major donors. We're accountable to an entire base of people who share these values of social justice, who share these values of self-determination.
And I think the Social Justice Fund provides a lot of opportunities to kind of move that money towards credible work that is trying to achieve systemic change so we can all have a more just and livable world.
Funding is so limited for organizations like Unite Oregon, and especially within the queer, trans, immigrant, refugee organizing work that we are doing.
There was a study done by the National Council of Responsive Philanthropy a few years ago, where they looked at organizations in the Northwest that use organizing and advocacy as their primary strategies, including several organizations that we fund. And they found that if you looked at the victories of those organizations, the policy victories that you could put a dollar amount on, for every dollar that was funded to those organizations, it resulted in $150 in measurable wins.
This funding allowed us to dedicate more time on the ground to grow the leadership skills of the renters.
They provide opportunities for organizations like ours to work on economic, racial, housing, and environmental justice issues that affect our reservations in our communities.
Because Social Justice Fund leads with racial justice, with gender justice, we are able to see ourselves in this work and be able to be who we are and do what we need to do.
It's about building relationships, it's about bringing people together and connecting more people to the movement for social justice.